is the Put It in the Air podcast. This is the Put It in the Air podcast.
Yes. Welcome in once again to the Put It in the Air podcast. I'm your host, Brennan Casello, a.k.a. East Coast Virus.
And I'm Pascal Rawls Philippe, better known as Punks in Drublic.
You got it right this time. Awesome. Pascal, Punks and Drublic sitting at the top position. East Coast Virus sitting at the bottom position. So we're going to give you the bread to your guys' league sandwich, at least for this week.
Yeah, I mean, we got top, we got bottom. I think we're making some people happy here.
Yeah. Well, that, you know how I know you're gay? I'm just kidding.
Because I like the top?
Well, I always preferred the top bunk.
I mean, you're sitting pretty comfortable on the bottom here.
Well, you could just fall into bed. You don't have to climb, All right, so welcome into the podcast, one and all. We had a very busy week. We had our fantasy drafts, and we also had an entire week of football and fun, and not so fun for some of us.
Yeah, we did. We had our fantasy draft, and honestly, I think that everyone did pretty well this year. There weren't a lot of shockers. There were a couple, though.
There were definitely a few questionable picks, or more so guys that members of our league love.
For some reason or other. Listen, I mean, the people that guys love, they love them for a good reason, and they love them for a long time.
Yeah. Babalu loves Raheem Mostert for a long time. The last 3 years, he was his number one pick. 3 years in a row, no lie. Last year it paid off. He got second overall. But that he did it this year. Colin and I were behind him in the draft, and we were looking at it and like, is he gonna pick Mostert again? And sure enough, he did, and we were like, great. Now these guys will fall to us. So Pascal's checking the information. No need.
I don't think
it's
Baba
true.
picked Mostert number one.
First overall. Yeah, he did. Every year for the last 3 years. I know it's mind-blowing, I know. Last year he did finish in second, so good job, Baba, picking that, reaching and picking Mostert, And good job, Aggie, reaching and keeping Debo. I mean, that's a good one, too. I think we didn't expect that to happen. Pascal's still digging to see the
Yeah, because I thought that Baba took Derrick Henry first overall.
Oh, you know what is funny? He took you're right. He took I meant Derrick Henry. He took Mostert first overall like 5 years ago.
Here?
All right, you know what? Yeah, I'm combining
right,
Mostert
so
and Henry.
Basically,
you're right.
everything that Brendan just said was a lie. Okay,
Not everything.
Baba has not been taking Mostert number one the last
Henry.
3 years.
Henry.
It's Derrick Henry. Thank you.
So last year it would have been better to take Mostert before Henry though, because he finished in second. So I guess that whole spiel that I gave you guys. You know what? It's early. We just.
Why does anyone even listen to this podcast? We just out here lying like.
We just misinformation.
Baba did take Derrick Henry 5th overall this year, and I'll be honest, I was shocked. Oh,
5th overall. I was like, no, the first round. Are we really going to dissect it? Of course, 5th overall. I wasn't shocked.
Hold on.
I
Can
wasn't shocked at
someone
all.
bring some drugs for Brendan, please? Because obviously his brain is not working.
Look,
right.
guys, look. Mostert, Henry, it's a
Same
tomato.
person. Yeah, totally.
So Derrick Henry was picked first overall by Baba. 5th overall.
5th overall in the
pick,
first round.
But the last 3 years, his first round pick was Derrick Henry.
Well, at least he's consistent.
Yeah.
But this year, I don't know. I was really shocked because
I wasn't.
Personally, I'm not a big fan of drafting running backs who are on their second team. And especially in this scenario, it looks good from the outside. But when you're looking at the scheme, it seemed to me like the faster, more shifty backs worked better in that Baltimore scheme. And Derrick Henry, to me, is better if you give him a head of steam. You're going from under center, maybe even with a fullback. And that's just not how this works in this scheme. So I was surprised that he went so high. And honestly, his ADP was 18. So he was picked 13 spots ahead of where his ADP was.
Well, you do have to realize in keeping keepers, a lot of our keepers, then again, the first rounders really weren't touched except for Brees Hall. But
Yeah, so that's
the
the big
ADP
thing.
kind of drags down.
You're drafting someone in the first round who's way ahead of where everyone else expected him to be drafted.
True.
And at that point, it just becomes a risk versus reward. If you have conviction on your guy, you take your guy.
Yeah.
Like, if you think that he's going to be a league winner, then you take him.
Yeah, he will. Bold prediction, he will have 12 plus touchdowns this year, I believe.
Maybe.
But
I mean,
that's not going to go with many yards.
my fear would be that he and Lamar are going to be vulturing touchdowns from each other.
Yeah,
So
that's true.
to me, that was
Justice Hill played a lot of
Exactly.
of snaps.
A lot of snaps.
Lot.
So that to me was the biggest shocker from our draft night. But beyond that, like, Justin Jefferson dropped all the way to 9th overall. Nick Chubb wasn't taken until the 7th round. I know, he tore all his ligaments in his knee and he's out at least the first 4 weeks, but
It's going to be longer.
it's still Nick Chubb,
He would be questionable to be put on the IR. It was pretty apparent that he was going to be put on, or the PUP, sorry, the PUP. But it was pretty apparent leading up to the season and in training camp that he's not going to be ready. And even after the 4 weeks expire, just like TJ Hawkinson, they're not going to be ready. I think Hawkinson shows before Chubb does.
So one other pick that really, really shocked me was Sean taking Cooper Kupp.
Oh yeah, what a huge shocker,
Right? So, like, I thought that it was a dumb move, honestly.
I did too, until
Because he drafted him, in like the 2nd or the 3rd round?
I think it was the second round.
Yeah, so it's like you're taking him super high. You already have Puka Nacua as your keeper, and then you're going to take his running mate in Cooper Kupp?
Yeah.
Egg on my face.
Well, it's as of right now, it's looking
Looking pretty friggin'
pretty
good.
lucrative. Just want to, since I started the episode off with some misinformation, mixing up two players, I want to just clear something up from last week. When I was talking about Kamara's 13 reception game last year, where Pascal guessed that it was 30 yards that he got, and I told him it was 25. It was actually 33 yards. So give the man 8 extra yards on 13 catches. It's still a trash stat, but not for fantasy.
No, I was wrong. Sean took Cooper Kupp in the 1st round.
Okay, but he was on the turn, so technically he could have
First round is first round.
He
buddy.
could have taken him on his second pick. Who do you get on the what was the 13th pick?
13th pick. He got Travis Etienne.
Etienne. Okay. So he diversified. That's
Wow, Cooper Kupp 1st round. Yeah, I forgot that he took him that early, and that was a shocker to me. But it looks like it's going to end up being a pretty good pick as long as he can stay healthy through the season.
He got Kupp in the 1st and Puka in the 10th, so it's not really it's not really that much.
Not a bad duo.
Draft value.
Now there ended up being a lot of value, of wide receiver value, in rounds 6 through 8. So we're talking about guys like Deontay Johnson, Keenan Allen. Let's see who else went.
Zay Flowers.
Terry McLaurin. No, but those.
But
were
he was
keepers,
a keeper, yeah.
Terry
Seventh round.
McLaurin, Jaden Reed went at the top of the
great
top
pick.
of the 7th. That's going to
Xavier
end up being
Worthy.
a good one. I took Xavier Worthy 2 picks later. Rome
rookie.
Odunze, he went down with a knee injury. He's going to be week to week, but
see.
he could put up some numbers. Christian Watson went in the 7th. We'll see. We'll see how they do. And then Lad McConkey went in the 8th.
It's a great pick.
Keon Coleman went in the 8th. Jackson Smith and Jigba went in the 8th. We'll see, but it looked like there was a lot of good value for the wide receivers from the 6th to the 8th round.
Speaking of good value in that range of rounds, last year's 7th round was just the most epic round. I mean, I think 10 of the players that were drafted in the 7th round outperformed, and some by a lot. Just to give you a quick recap of how that round went down, we had Michael Pittman, we had Mike Evans, James Cook, We had Jonathan Taylor, Rashad White, Isaiah Pacheco, Zay Flowers, Alvin Kamara, Cam Akers, Dalton Schultz, Lazard, and DeAndre Swift. I feel like maybe Lazard and Cam Akers were the bad picks, and
And
everyone
Cam
else.
Akers had injury issues, didn't he?
Yeah, he was the starter before Kyron came and took that job. It looks like that's a revolving door though, because we'll see how long Kyron's reign lasts. I know Billy hopes it lasts all season.
Yeah, right. So one thing I noticed during the draft was that some people got unlucky with where their keepers fell, and some people got lucky with where their keepers fell. I, for one, both of my keepers were in even rounds. One in the 6th round, Rashad White, and one in the 10th round, Devon Achane. And because they both ended up falling on even rounds, and I was picking at the beginning of the 1st round, that means that my keepers ended up falling at the 10th pick in the 6th round and the 10th pick in the 10th round. And so that ends up being added value, because if they had fallen on odd rounds, I would have been picking 3rd in those rounds. So it's basically like I ended up with an extra 14 picks of value based off of where my keepers fell. And so that had me thinking that you could either gamble on where your pick's going to fall in the round, if we keep doing random picking, random slotting rather, or you could go risk averse and make sure that one of your keepers falls in an even round and one of your keepers falls in an odd round, and then they'll just even each other out. But there's definitely some strategy there in who you're picking to keep and whether you want to take that gamble of getting extra value for your guys.
And speaking of rounds, thanks for everybody who tuned in to the live draft selection emergency call that we had to have. Where Longfellow tuned in, but then was speaking to a customer and totally missed that he got first pick overall. It's kind of funny because everybody left the chat. And I stayed on just to say bye to Longfellow because he didn't know what happened.
And then I come back on because I see the green.
And so did Scott.
The green light is still on. I'm like, hold on, why are people still in there?
And Longfellow, of course, what else does Longfellow do but talk about grass, Longfellow, nice job being first, 3 out of 4 years?
I don't know what's going on.
Him and McCaffrey have something going.
Yeah. But McCaffrey ended up pooping on his leg. And
is that why he was out? He pooped?
Well, on Longfellow's leg.
Oh, because he was sitting in his lap.
Yeah, exactly.
I wonder if he was doing the little bounce, and that's why he let one go.
Yeah, I heard it was a little IBS.
Okay.
I don't know McCaffrey that well, but
apparently, so.
Longfellow he paid attention to what was going on, picked up McCaffrey's backup, and
he didn't draft him, right? He picked him up.
No, he picked him
Friday.
up on waivers.
Yeah. That's not bad, Longfellow. Good move. For any McCaffrey managers that failed to make that move, shame on you because Mason went off. We'll get into that
a little bit
in a
later.
little bit.
So one last thing that I noticed from the draft, and Billy made mention to this, was a technique that I basically came up with for myself in the hour before we started drafting, that I wasn't going to go after any tight ends early. And Billy, it sounds like, went for a similar tactic. Really, when I was looking at the average scoring by position from last year, wide receivers, they're averaging 24, 20, 18. Running backs, they're in the 20s to high teens. Tight ends, the number 10 tight end averaged 7 points a game or 11 points a game last year. It was really booty. And when I was looking at that, I'm like, it just doesn't make sense to take a tight end who might be giving me 12 points a game as opposed to a wide receiver who's going to give me 17.
Yeah, if you don't get one of those top 3 to 5 guys, it is worth punting.
Even the top 3, not even really worth it.
I mean, that's not true in a full season play. I mean, the guys, anybody who suffered this week, like Andrews, Kelsey, Laporta, McBride, I think all of them had a poor week. in full season stats, it won't
I was
be like
looking
that.
at the whole season stats when I was looking at that. It was the average scoring over the whole season for the top tight ends, the top wide receivers, the top running backs.
Yeah.
The drop off from the top tight end to the top to like the number 10 tight end is a difference of like 7 points per week. It really doesn't make much of a difference. The top wide receiver, like CeeDee Lamb scored like 400 points on the season. The top tight end scored like 250 points.
Oh yeah,
It's a big
that makes
difference.
sense. But it is a touchdown difference based on that position, and you can only put, you have to use that position. So it's like,
Right.
It does make a little bit of a difference if you do have a top tight end. But in everyone's case this week, it made no difference. Very annoying. Anyways, guys.
Honestly, I felt pretty good with my 11 points from Kyle Pitts. That was all I was asking for.
Yeah, well, we'll talk about tight ends a little bit more as we go through. One very fun and annoying and hilarious stat, depending on who you are. We got our draft grades, and we could kind of go through our draft grade results real fast if you want to just open that book. And then I have a little game we're going to play throughout the season based on bullshit draft grades. Anyways,
If you can't tell, Brendan's kind of salty because
kind of salty.
his
There's
draft
no
grades
sweet
were
to
not
this salty.
very good.
There's no sweet to this salty. Okay, so our draft grades came out. We did get 8 teams sharing their draft positioning. And Frank is projected the auto draftees name change possible.
I need to start auto drafting. I'm not going to lie. To you.
Well, Frank got an A, projected to 13-1, first place. Pascal and Jay both are projected to be tied for second at 11-3.
Yeah, boy.
Although Jay got an A and Pascal got an A-, so let's put Pascal underneath Jay.
Damn it.
Yes. Boston Bulldogs on top of Pugs and Drublick. Fourth place is unknown. So, Billy, can we please get your draft grades? That'd be great. And then coming in fifth, we had, Mike Longfellow with a 9-5 projected record. Fifth, Colin projected in sixth with a B+ at 8-6. Sean Dennehy, all sevens. Seventh place, 7-7 record. 7-up.
Ooh, that sounds lucky. Sean won the championship with a really bad record, like 3 years ago?
Yeah, he did. I've done it in the past too, but not with the record I was projected. Although Scott was projected 8th to go 6-8 with a C+. Our 9th place didn't give our information, so Marv, can you get that in? That'd be great. For 10th, that was me with a C+, projected 3-11. And then Aggie and Babalu, which one of you projected worst? Because we didn't get your draft results. Please send them into the chat. It'd be great to look at them. We know who you are. So with that being said, I do want to let you guys know that I drafted 3 different leagues this week. Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. 12-team leagues. Very similar rules.
And how did you do?
Well, let's run through them. In the Family League, the league I created and am commissioner of, my projected results are 2-12.
Oh, no.
No, I know. And a B-.
That is a B-?
Yeah.
How do you end up 2-12? But that's a straight failing grade.
I agree, but B-. Then for Jay's league on Tuesday, I was projected to go 0-14.
Oh, no.
Yeah, seriously, bro. Terrible. And then obviously I told you 3-11 for this league. So I kind of came up with an idea, okay?
That's honestly, that is pathetic.
It is pathetic.
Now, I'm
worse.
not one to really give a lot of stock to the random computer saying what your outcome is going to be.
Yeah.
But I mean, when it thinks you're going to do that badly,
dude, I was so happy with each draft. Let me just be clear.
I
So
bet you were.
thrilled with each draft before I saw the draft results, and I still am. Now, here's the deal. I'm going to give you all an opportunity to bet on this and see who comes out on top. I'm even willing to give 5 George Washington single dollars.
Whoa.
To the winner of...
He got money.
To the winner of this. However, I think we should do it in an over-under format. So basically, my 3 leagues, I'm projected to go.
Well, I mean, if you're giving out money, we got to pick the exact number.
We should, right? Yeah. Damn. Well, I'm not going to pick because I'm not going to win my own money. But I'm going to pick an over-under, okay? So my projected record in 3 leagues is 5-37.
Oh, no.
That is absurd, bro.
That's horrible, bro.
That's terrible.
I'm not going to lie.
I've never done this bad in fantasy. Although last year I did have like a 10-game losing streak in our league.
You were pretty bad.
It was terrible.
You were pretty bad.
But then in championship week, I scored over 200 points with that same team.
Were you in the playoffs?
I won the little bracket, the little losers bracket.
Okay.
But I would have beat any of y'all in the championship week if I made it.
Shoulda.
I would have beat you.
Coulda.
It doesn't matter.
But you didn't.
Nobody who loses 10 weeks in a row scores over 200. Nobody ever scores under 200. It happens like once a year.
I don't know. I feel like losers brackets games are always getting high scores. I think you're wrong on that one, actually.
Wrong on what?
That the people who lose a lot don't score a lot during the playoffs. I think you're wrong. I think people who lose a lot actually do score a lot
anyone
in the playoffs.
Anyone in the losers bracket has ever scored over 200 points? I highly doubt it. I doubt it.
Because
the highest score has only been over 200 a few times. We can look.
We don't have to argue on it. We
don't.
Just look it up.
Yeah, we'll talk about it next episode, and I'll tell Pascal. See, I told you so, man.
We'll see.
Nobody scored over
so
180.
So far, you're 0 for 2.
0 for 2. Yeah. Oh Jesus. All right. So, anyways,
all right,
5 wins. So we're gonna go wins.
Yeah.
Right?
So 5 wins is what the computer is projecting.
I'm gonna tell you guys. I'm going over 22 wins. Over 22 wins.
Wow.
That's just above 500, and I guarantee I will score more than 22 wins.
I am going to say, after looking at your performance this week,
okay,
and the fact that
full disclosure, I did lose all 3 games this week.
We're starting out 0-3.
The only league that I really, really suffered in was the Put It In the Air league. This league, it was just all my great players were very bad.
I'm going to say, I think that you are going to win 12 games between the 3 leagues.
I thought you were going to say under 10, but now that I put my dollar bills, 5 of them up, Pascal's guess is 12. So that's locked in. No one else can choose 12. If I'm above 22 and you guess it, I'll make it $10 just to get a little incentive to give me some of those wins, especially if I play you.
Put your bet in the comments to lock it in.
Yeah, and if it's not in the comments, it
never happened.
No. The fantasy chat also works because I know that there's people that don't.
You got 3 different chats
YouTube.
though.
No, we have one chat.
No, I mean you got 3 different leagues.
Oh, 3 no. But well, yeah, I'm not. I guess I'll open this up to everybody. Anybody who wants to guess, go ahead and guess. Guess in these comments, or if you're in the Put It In the Air league, guess it in our league chat. Okay. So with that being said, we have to move along to the next segment, which is, dude,
what happened,
bro?
Oh my God.
This is just a super quick breakdown of the NFL action of the week. And we will start off with what happened.
Chiefs at Ravens. The Chiefs are the friggin' Chiefs, and the Bills made sure it'd stay that way by gifting them Xavier Worthy.
And Baltimore loses by a half a shoe size in the electric opener. Baltimore 20, Kansas City 27.
Up next. Eagles at Packers Brazil. What was more dangerous, the streets of Sao Paulo or the playing field?
As Philly outlasts Green Bay in Brazil, and Love gets hurt. Final score, Philly 34, Green Bay 29.
I feel like you missed a great opportunity to say Love get hurt.
I was going to say Love hurts, but Love got hurt.
Yeah, close.
Next time.
All right.
Next time he gets hurt.
Next, we have Bills at Cardinals. Josh Allen is overrated, but he's also really friggin' good. Both can be true.
Buffalo comes from behind and shuts down Kyler, Marv, and company. Buffalo 34, Arizona 28.
Up next, we have 6-time Super Bowl champion Patriots.
Wet fart sound.
At the Bengals. Who they? They never show up weeks 1 and 2. Congrats to Coach Hellmans on his first win.
As the Patriots stun the lackluster performance from the Bengals. Patriots 16, Bengals 10.
Next, we have Vikings at Giants.
I don't even want to talk about this one.
Watching former New Jersey QB failures do well at other stops makes me chuckle. Watching them do it against New Jersey teams is just bliss.
They're a New York team. But the Giants stay in bed in New York, and they let Darnold shine. Minnesota 28, Giants 6. Shit.
Next, we have the Bears at the Titans. Caleb sucked his way to a win. Rookie wide receivers might have a pattern.
As the Bears' high-octane offense underperforms, they still defeat Titans with their defense and special teams. Chicago 24, Tennessee 17.
Next, we have the Saints at the Panthers. Are the Saints good, or are the Panthers getting the number 1 pick for the 3rd year in a row?
As the Saints wallop the Panthers 47-10.
Next, we have the Steelers at the Falcons. It'd be hilarious if the Steelers give up a 2nd-round pick for Justin Fields. Newsflash, 40-year-old QBs coming off Achilles injuries might not be very good.
As the Steelers ruin Cousins' coming out party 18-10.
Next, we have Dolphins at the Jaguars. The Florida teams both washed? Did the league figure out all these fancy offenses?
As the Dolphins bounce back and stun the Jags with kicks 20-17.
Next, we have the Texans at the Colts. Are the Texans worse than we thought, or are the Colts better?
I think Houston and Indy both look good as Houston gets the W 29-27.
Next, we have the Chargers at the Raiders. Will the Bolts go 17-0 with Herbert only passing for 1,000 yards on the season? The Raiders, woof.
Probably because the Chargers run all over Vegas 22-10.
Next, we have the Seahawks at the Broncos. Bo Nix? More like no Nix. The Seahawks didn't look much better. I feel like there's a rookie QB pattern here.
As the Seahawks overpower Bo Nix with their run game 26-20.
Next, we have the Cowboys at the Browns. The boys were the boys, and the Browns were the Browns. Is Deshaun cooked?
As the Cowboys pay Dak and charge Cleveland a loss 33-17.
Next, we have the Bucks at the Commanders. Is Jaden Daniels just Justin Fields 2.0, or will his passing develop? The Bucks are not bad.
Jaden Daniels does impress on the ground, but Baker, Evans, and Godwin say no, no, no. 37-20.
Next, we have the Lions at the Rams. Puka puked, Cooper cooped, and Jamison Williams with the 3rd-year breakout?
The Lions' offense looks weak. Puka to the IR as the Lions outlast the Rams in overtime 26-20.
And last and definitely least, we have the Jets at the Niners. Is McCaffrey's injury history coming back to bite fantasy owners? And the Jersey Jets are acting like the typical Jets and are in last place in the AFC East.
It's New York Jets. CMC out, Mason in and on. Rodgers reminiscing with Lazard, but not looking toward the future. 49ers 32, Jets 19.
All right.
Excellent,
So
excellent
for a first week, we had some upsets. The biggest upset was the Patriots over the Bengals. They were
I agree.
8-point underdogs, 8.5-point underdogs maybe. But the Bengals, they're like 1-5 in week 1 under their current coach. So it's like,
I think T being out and Jamar not being fully Jamar. I think he was sick and lingering.
Nah.
He's hurt.
Christian Gonzalez put the clamps on him. He is on the verge of being the best cornerback in the league.
We'll see.
But we'll see. I mean, so far, the guys he's gone up against, he shut him down, but he needs a whole season to really claim that.
All right, guys. Well, that was what happened this week. And moving along. We've got the superlative rundown.
Superlative rundown.
And this is what happened. The best players of the week.
Yeah.
All right, so the superlative rundown. We're just going to run down the top performing players. Looks like top quarterback of the week this week was Josh Allen, even though he left injured, with 31.18. Top running back, Saquon Barkley in his new home in another country, 33.2. We miss him. Top wide receiver of the week. This one was a bit of a surprise, but not so much if you had belief in him. Jaden Reed with 33.1 in that very same game. Is the air lighter in Brazil? Because the players move a lot quicker. Top tight end of the week. This one hurt a little bit. It was also on the same evening. No, it was the first night of football. It was Thursday, yeah.
Night.
So Isaiah Likely with 26.1 and a lot more if his foot was a little bit smaller.
Yeah, it's about like maybe half a size.
Yeah, he would have been at like 34 and probably the fantasy performer of the week.
Shoulda, woulda, coulda.
A lot of questions. A lot of questions are there. Top kicker, we had a share in top kicker, scoring 24 points. We have Jake Moody and Boswell from the Steelers. Moody kicked a whole bunch of field goals. Boswell hit 3 50-plus yarders, which is that 5-point golden ticket.
Did anyone get Boswell's points?
I actually don't think so.
Nope.
He's
Those
available,
points were
right?
sitting on the bench.
Yeah, that's
not on the bench. Sorry, in free agency.
sitting on the waiver wire.
Yeah.
And then the top defense of the week goes to the Bears. They had a special teams touchdown and a pick six. Or was it a fumble recovery touchdown? It's kind of escaping me. I think it was a pick six. Bears scored 24 as well. So if you played those players, you had the most epic fantasy team. Cutting it down to the Put It in the Air League, we'll let you guys know about the largest margin of victory and the tightest game.
So, last night really came down to the wire. Our closest game in a nail-biter, folks, was I Fucks Your Mom over the Auto Draftees by 0.2 points.
It was so much closer than expected.
Yeah, it really was. I mean, the Auto Draftees kicker, Jake Moody, really went off.
He put up 24 and he was facing
points is a
Debo.
lot. Yeah.
Debo just did enough.
Debo just did enough.
We expected it to be a 20-point win.
Right.
You know.
But nope.
Damn.
It really came down to the wire, and I Fucks Your Mom is hoping that there are no last minute stat corrections.
Yeah. That's so true. But you know, I really wish that Frank beat Aggie in this this week, not because Aggie is the worst name ever, but because he was projected to lose, like we all expected him to lose, and for him to, even during the game, it's like, all right, yeah, Moody's doing really good, but I doubt Debo's gonna keep getting the ball. They're gonna keep feeding him. And it got so close to the point where I didn't even realize how it ended. It would have been so awesome to see Frank just pull it off, because that would have been a huge comeback.
I was thinking there was the off chance that like the 49ers would get the ball back. They would try like a pass to Debo behind the line of scrimmage. He'd lose like 3 yards, and then all of a sudden
kick the 51-yarder.
Wouldn't even need it, but yeah.
Let the clock expire.
But in the end, the person that should have won did win. I think it's always kind of cheap when you win because your kicker goes off for 40 points.
Yeah.
But points are points.
But wait, I should have won.
I Fucks Your Mom. I Fucks Your Mom
I didn't win.
Came out on top against the Auto Draftees.
Good job, Aggie. Good job.
For the biggest blowout is someone who's well acquainted with being a blowout.
You mean win or loss?
On both sides. It is our friend Mike Longfellow with the Jolly Green Ganjas.
Don't give him a big head.
He had a 50.58 win. 50.58 point win over Babalu's G-Men's Crusaders.
Oh.
So I feel like we kind of just had the worst names in the league just duking it out for the closest and the biggest blowouts. And
I think Longfellow's and Baba's names are more creative and enjoyable.
yeah, I mean, if Victor Cruz had played football in the last decade,
Yeah, I did ask Babalu if he would consider changing it, and he looked at it and said, "No, I'm good. I like this."
the Jolly Green Ganjas, yeah,
that's
he kind
good.
of just got tossed in with the bad names.
Yeah. Well, actually, no, because Scott's not on this list, and
Right, that
Fuckers
really...
is just so plain Jane. Come on, dude. Let's get some pizzazz out there. Let's get some stuff in.
Some
Change your
pizzazz.
names, dude. Change your names. Frank is willing to change his name, and it's not even that bad. Scott, Aggie, just all it takes is 5 seconds. Change your name and put a damn picture up. Let's go. Come on, guys. So that's we're going to finish our superlative rundown with giving them their flowers and $25.
Well, who gets $25 this week, Brendan?
We're together right now. So Pascal and Punks and Drublick with the top scoring week this week. We're going to give them their flowers and $25.
Give me my money.
Oh, that's not the right.
Give me my money.
Oh,
Give me my
man,
money.
I will digitally. Anyways, and then we also have the wet fart of the week.
And that is my good friend here, Brendan Casello.
Do
and
I-
East Coast Virus.
Do I lose $25?
Oh, that'd be nice.
I actually
No, that'd be bad.
I'm the
actually. It's not too
commissioner,
bad.
so I kind of do because it's in my bank account right now, and I'm gonna lose $25 to Pascal.
Well,
So
considering it's you, I won't get it for another 6 weeks. So
excuse you.
excuse
The reason
me,
I
what?
took over the bank is because money wasn't being transferred. I was a little
so
slow last year.
We went for 52 weeks to 6 weeks, so it's getting better.
Yeah, it's a pretty good percentage
Increase.
cut down, increase,
Yeah,
jump
yeah.
up, whatever you want to
Decrease.
call it.
Wherever you're looking at it
Oh
from.
boy, it's been a rough week, as you could tell on this end. We got the top score and the bottom score telling you guys about fantasy. I don't want to talk about fantasy right now. I'm a little bit pissed off.
You probably shouldn't listen to what he has to say anyway.
Listen.
Considering everything he says is wrong, and he's got the crappiest team in all the leagues he's playing in.
We'll see. We'll see what we're talking about next week. Because guess who faces who this week? The Flowers face the Fart.
Oh, I can't wait.
Yeah, you're going down.
I'm a
bro.
flower all over you.
My bench scored more points than my entire starting lineup this week.
Yeah, what that tells me is that you're going to put the wrong people in to start again next week, and we can just go through this one more time. Yeah, you better hope that Egg Shane is actually hurt.
Yeah, it's little flimsy ass, scrawny ass, whatever. Let's move on.
Yeah, let's go.
Ugh, so annoying. Anyways, that brings us over to our next segment. Yes! Welcome
It's the Keeper Alert.
to the Keeper Alert, where we talk about our league's keepers. Now, we did discuss this last week, so we don't have to go too deep into it, but we did have some changes in keepers based on what we said last week, I believe. Not everyone, though. So how do you want to do this, Pascal? You want to go through the whole league, talk about their players, how much they scored, and how much their projection was above or below expectation?
I think that's a good idea, and because of who we are naturally as people, I will be going through the winners, and you will be going through the losers.
That's fine. That's fine. I actually only looked up the losers because we decided that earlier. So thanks for calling me out. I just tried to cut things up easily, and he's throwing me under the bus. But I'll be driving the bus next week. Driving that bus all over those punks in Drublick. You'll see. The virus is coming to your town. You better wear a mask.
Good luck, pal. Good luck, because your team is sick and not in a good way.
Yeah. You're going to be sneezing next Monday. Watch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
that's because I have allergies.
Yeah. From the virus. The little dust molecules that are going to get up in that nose.
East Coast dust mites. I
Yeah.
think that is a better name for you.
Let me just say, East Coast virus is way pre-COVID. So, like, when COVID happened, I kind of felt like, oh, shit, should I change my name? So, in the newer leagues, I did. And my name in those leagues is Albino Chameleons from Queens.
Wow.
Creative, right?
Very creative.
I love it.
Applause.
And
Applause.
one
Has
more.
nothing to do with football, but we're here.
Yeah, but it's very interesting to think about an albino chameleon. I googled it, and they do exist.
Ah.
Very interesting. Another really cool shout out name for Jays League, the Lions Den League, is good old Pete O'Connell, and his name is Aaron Rodgers Ayahuasca Picnic. How awesome is that? I love
feel
it.
like we have a segment that this would have been great to talk about in.
Oh yes, that would be later. We'll talk about that later.
All right. So back to the segment we're currently on.
Okay, so we'll start with the top dogs. Pascal covered those guys, so I'll just sit back and watch and comment as he goes.
So Punks in Drublic winning his or my game over, what's your new name? Like face mask, something.
Oh,
or
Steal
other.
Your Face
Steal
Mask.
Your face mask, whatever, Billy.
He
Okay.
did it in both two different leagues.
Yeah, so Punks in Drublic over Steal Your Face Mask. And my keepers were Devon Achane and Rashad White. Devon Achane and Rashad White combined for 12.61 points over their projected score of 26.99 to score 39.6 points in week 1.
Damn.
Yes. Next, we had Boston Bulldogs. They won over Great.
Ooh, that was a tight rope match.
Close game that came down to the last game of the weekend
And had a lot to do with keepers.
and had a lot to do with keepers, but not really.
That's my segment.
Boston Bulldogs. Boston Bulldogs scored under their projected points by 7.73 points and scored 20.4 points between Brees Hall and Dalton Kincaid against their projection of 28.13.
Interesting.
Next, we had Fuckers, who won over East Coast Virus with the worst score in the league for this week.
We already went over that.
And we're going to go over it again.
How many times?
See, the disappointing thing here for East Coast Virus is that Fuckers scored 17.38 points under his expected total of 31.22, only totaling 13.84 points from his keepers Drake London with a boo-boo 3.5 and Brock Purdy with a boo-boo 10.34 points. Next, we had Jolly Green Ganjas with an outstanding performance on the week, beating G-Men's Crusaders with the biggest point deficit in the league. Now, Jolly Green Ganja's keepers of CJ Stroud and George Kittle, they did basically what they were expected to do, underscoring their expected point total by 4.05 points, scoring a 26.66 total as compared to 30.71 expected. Next, we have I Fucks Your Mom, who won a nail biter over the auto draftees, and he had help from his keepers Debo Samuel and Zay Flowers, outscoring his expected point total by 3.97 points, scoring 29.8 points total as expected, as compared to the expected 25.83. Lastly, we have Catch This Fade, who beat Captain Cannabis pretty handily. Now, Catch This Fade had James Cook and Nico Collins as his keepers. They outscored their projected point total by 3.69 points, scoring 31 points as compared to the projected 27.31.
Damn.
Congratulations to all of you, all of us, on winning our games. And Fuckers, hopefully you guys can do a little bit better next week.
Don't get used to it, guys, because the losers bracket is here. East Coast Virus, with his keepers Mark Andrews and Kyler Murray, underperformed by quite a bit. A little over 10 fantasy points left on the table. Thanks, Mark Andrews. Thanks, Isaiah Likely. We had Billy, Steal Your Face Mask, William, Duncan, the third. With Jonathan Taylor and Kyron Williams, he kept steady with his picks. Jonathan Taylor fell 4 points short, and Kyron Williams was right on his projection with 0.01 under his actual score. So Billy was underwhelming, losing about 4 points on his projected scores to his actual. Now, Babalu, one team that didn't take the advice of our podcast last week and still kept Mostert and Laporta. It wouldn't have been a good week if he kept McBride and Laporta, but I could tell you it's going to be a good season. Babalu fell 13 points under projections with Mostert at 3.9 and an injury, and Laporta at 8.5 and a really bad offensive performance. Next, we have the auto draftees who kept Alvin Kamara and DJ Moore. We have a little funny thing real quick I forgot about. I did want to mention this. A real fast little bit of information. Frank decided he wanted to keep DJ Moore and who was the player? Drake London. But he drafted Drake London, dropped him, and Scott picked him up, and that's one of Scott's keepers. So we had a little fiasco the final day, and Frank was like, oh yeah, I don't have freaking Drake London, so I'll keep Kamara. And Kamara was the best performing keeper in my opinion. I think he put up 22 fantasy points, 7 above his estimated projections, and DJ Moore fell 3.5 points shy. So Frank was on the plus side of 3.5. Not bad. Sean Dennehy, the Captain Cannabis Crushers, only kept Puka. It was good advice. It was the smart way to go. And then he put him together with Cooper Kupp in the first, which was crazy, but it actually turned out to be pretty damn good. Puka only scored 8.2, 7.5 under his projection, but Cooper Kupp filled in the blanks with 33 points. So he's good. He's all good. And then our final team that is on the losing side. It wasn't supposed to happen this way until kickoff last night, where Isaiah Pacheco scored 1.5 points over his projected total at 15.8. And Brandon Ayuk, the reason for the L this week, scored only 4.8 points, which is 5.5 points under his projection. So Colin fell at 4 under. The keepers are looking good. We'll get you into some important news throughout the season and try to just keep you up to date.
And we'll be watching them. We'll be watching them week in and week out,
Yeah.
and we'll see how everyone's keepers ended up doing at the end of the season.
And I have to say, there's 2 keepers that are in peril right now. They would be Puka Nacua for sure. He's on IR. Thank goodness Sean got that insurance. And Raheem Mostert, who has a questionable tag for Thursday's game,
And
along with
Devon Achane, too.
Oh yeah, Achane as well.
Yep.
And then I picked up Isaiah Likely as insurance to Mark Andrews in case he got hurt. But 2 targets for Andrews to 12 for Likely. I might have to use that insurance plan with the fully healthy Andrews.
Yeah, that might be
And
smart.
I think I might start this week. We'll see. You'll see, because I'll be facing you. Next.
I can't wait. I can't wait.
You're gonna have to wait because it's several days away.
Yes.
All right, so
Like
that
2
was
days.
the keeper alert, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Moving along.
It's in the air.
It's in the air. This is where we ask this week's biggest questions. And Pascal, would you like to start this?
Yeah, I'll do the honors. So my biggest question is, have defenses figured out these offenses?
They're
You know,
supposed to.
The average points per game is down over the last few years. The offenses aren't really showing up these first few weeks. And, you know, there was a point in time where the offense really had a major advantage. I feel like kind of around that time period where Patrick Mahomes came into the league. And you see, even with him, his efficiency is down. The points per game are down. And I wonder if it has something to do with the decreased offseason. You know, like, there are no good offensive linemen in this league anymore. And it's because they don't have any time to practice. And the college game is completely different from the pro game. And if everything starts up front in the trenches, then Yeah, how are you going to have good offenses? And the quarterbacks, 5 out of the first 6 quarterbacks picked in this draft started week 1. Oh, no, sorry. JJ McCarthy was hurt. So he's on IR, so he doesn't count. But he probably would have started week 1 too.
Good thing you didn't for Minnesota, because I feel like
Yeah, I mean, Sam Darnold played really
showed
well.
out.
He was like 8 for 8 at one point. But so yeah, what's going on with the offenses? Have defenses caught up? Yeah, it's going to be interesting to watch that through the rest of the season.
That's a good question, and it actually relates to one of my questions. I felt like, I don't know if you felt this way, but watching football this week, there was some teams that it was like, yo, like, did they forget about their receiving core? Did they forget about their tight end or like their rookie wide receiver? So that brings me to my question of this week, or one of them. Which winning offense will turn it around quicker? The Lions or the Bears? They both won, but they needed help. Now, the Lions did have a decent ground game, and they also, Jameson Williams finally showed out, but his long touchdown, if you erase that, the passing game was terrible on the Detroit side. And then the Bears, forget it, dude. Rome Odunze, did he have a goose?
No, he didn't have a goose
He
egg.
got hurt.
But he did. He got hurt.
He's going to be out
week to week
probably.
now.
And then, but Keenan Allen, like, early in the game, I saw him get a target or two, and I was like, okay, here we go. But
Yeah,
then
we
they
were talking
forgot
about that
him.
last episode. I don't think Keenan Allen's going to be bringing much to that offense.
DJ Moore was supposed to be let up on a little bit because the other options on the offense. And
so
like
we
DJ
had
Moore,
a bit of a trend. We had a bit of a trend this week that the rookie wide receivers did not really perform that well. And
No.
we're going to talk about that in one of our next segments. But, you know, you've got Rome Odunze, who's got a strained MCL.
Yeah.
So that's going to take him out for at least a couple weeks.
Probably.
And that's going to
less
hinder
than
his
one.
development. And, you know, yeah, he's a top-rated rookie, but still, those guys need to develop also.
Just hold on to him for next year. It's a great keeper.
Yeah,
I
right.
imagine.
You've got, well, depends on what round you picked him, but you've got Caleb Williams.
true.
Like, listen, he wasn't that good during the preseason, so I don't know what we're really expecting of him during the regular season.
Now,
But if that offensive line is playing the way they did,
Dude.
he's not going to have enough time to really be productive.
look at the rest of their team. Cole Kmet, 1 catch, 5 yards. DeAndre Swift, 5 fantasy points, including a 2-point conversion.
I told you he wasn't going to be very
I
good.
still believe in him, but I'm going to have to believe in him while he chills on my bench for a little while because I got 2 shares of him out of my 3 leagues. Maybe that's why my projections were so bad.
Maybe.
So I'm going to say Lions. What about you? What do you think? Lions or Bears?
Yeah, I got to
Who's
say
your
the
round?
Lions. I mean,
I think the
it's
Bears
just
are in
so
more
hard
peril.
it's so hard to rely on rookies. And even if Caleb is going to be the greatest quarterback of all time, you can't expect it his rookie year.
Yeah, and I think the running game on the Lions side did its job. Jameer and Montgomery were over 15 fantasy points each. But Laporta was only about 8 points or so. Amon-Ra was non-existent. He had
Yeah.
3 catches for 12 yards. Who?
Yeah.
Amon-Ra who?
Yeah.
My first pick. Another reason why I lost. I have 2 shares of him. It'll
There you
be
go.
turned around. I'm not worried about
It probably will. I mean, Amon-Ra is a good bet, but
Goff?
you got to be somewhat worried if you've got shares in the Lions this year.
Yeah, I think this is just a little speed bump in the beginning of the season, but it was a home game, so Goff was supposed to do good, you know. Anyways,
That's
next
a good
question.
point. So my next big question is: can Lamar last a full season behind that offensive line?
Yikes! That offensive line, he was getting
That was
so
scary.
mad. He was on the sideline after the second drive, just cursing these guys out, looking so bitter.
It seemed like every drop back, he had to scramble, he had to throw off platform. That's not sustainable.
How does
and
it
he
feel-
lost weight for this season, so he could be more shifty.
How does it feel to be pressured, Lamar? How does it feel to be hit? Actually, he missed practice yesterday because he was feeling sore.
Yeah, I'm not surprised.
So
He got whooped. Like, I don't know. I don't think that's sustainable.
I don't
And
know,
he
man.
already he already misses games. So we'll see.
Well, that leads me to my next question, which is also related. Has Isaiah Likely usurped Mark Andrews? Now, let's take a little bit of a stroll back to last season. Mark Andrews got hurt around week 7 or 8, and Isaiah Likely came in, and he's a proven guy. The year before Andrews missed a couple games, Isaiah Likely put put it on him. And Likely was a 20-plus fantasy point scorer several times last season, especially in the playoffs, and he showed that, he can get 2 touchdowns a game. So he came in this year, the first drive, I noticed, wait a sec, why is Andrews and Likely both on the field? Then Likely caught a 15-yard pass before Andrews got a target, and I was like, oh, crap. Then it kept happening. Then I noticed Mark Andrews isn't on the field for half the plays, but Likely is. Then the final 12 targets to 2 targets with 1 touchdown, which was excellent. The Isaiah Likely touchdown had to be one of the touchdowns of the week. I mean, the dude, it was a 48-yard pass shift, broke like 3 tackles or juked 3 guys, and then ended up in the end zone. And then he had his toe on the line at the end of the game, which would have given him another touchdown. There's no doubt in my mind that Isaiah Likely, right off the bat this season, is going to be the tight end 1 on the Ravens and possibly on the season. Book it.
Good luck with that.
I mean, I would love the luck with that because I did draft him as Mark Andrews' backup.
So here's what I think will actually happen. I think that teams are going to realize that they have to defend both the tight ends and that they're both actually going to get less than what you expect. Mark Andrews is going to get less than what you expected at the beginning of the season. Isaiah Likely is going to get less than what you expect right now. And you're probably going to end up at a point where you don't know which guy to start. You're going to start both guys, and the average between the two of them is not going to be very good. Because if you try to pick between which one's going to do better, you're likely going to end up with the guy that's going to do worse each week, and that's going to make you even more pissed off.
Look, I'm a big proponent against owning 2 running backs in a committee, and this seemed like a big problem for me because I was like, oh great, now Likely is going to do a little better than Andrews, or a lot better, but the target share will be like in his favor a little bit. But dude, That would happen if it was like 7 targets to Likely and 2 to Andrews. But it was 12 targets to 2. It's targets speak.
It's one game.
But the targets speak volumes.
No, it's one game. I think you're completely wrong.
I
think that neither one of us is watching the all 22. And so Isaiah Likely could have gotten all those targets because Mark Andrews was being doubled. I don't know.
He did. Some of them he did.
They don't have a lot of options on that offense, and so
Zay Flowers got a ton of targets.
If they're one dimensional, yeah, exactly.
But
they don't have
Isaiah
a lot of
Likely
options.
Got more targets than everybody.
Right, and
Nobody
so
got
if that keeps happening, what happens? They double them.
Yeah, and then that opens up Mark Andrews.
Right,
and then it creates
That's
a problem
point.
for me. But here's my thing, and I'll give you a little bit of into my brain. Mark Andrews is going to be on my bench until he outperforms Likely 2 weeks in a row. And then I'm going to find myself in a little bit of an issue.
In a quandary.
All
right. So my last question on the week is, why is quarterback play declining so badly? So thanks to Kari Thompson from Twitter, but he posted that the week 1 passing averages from the last 4 years go as follows. In 2021, quarterbacks passed on average for 272 yards in week 1. In 22, it was 243 yards. In 23, it was 210 yards. And this year, it was 185 yards.
That's bad.
Yuck.
That's bad.
That's 100 yards on average less that QBs are passing for this year in week 1. And
has the running game gone up, or is it just?
I didn't look into it. I don't know what's going on with the running game, but
I feel like more teams have more like less teams have the workhorse back, and more teams have like 2 great running backs, a good receiving, and a power runner. Like in most cases.
Well, I think it's that. I think it has something to do with the fact that teams have gotten so pass heavy that to counter that, defenses have gone super light. And so if you want to counter a light defense, you go heavy on offense. So more running, less passing. I think that another part that has a lot to do with it is that there were a ton of year 1 and year 2 starters at quarterback. You had guys like Anthony Richardson, who missed the majority of last year. You've got guys like CJ Stroud, who now have a full year on tape that defenses can go up against. But then, like I said, you had Jaden Daniels, who didn't pass for many yards. You had Caleb Williams, didn't pass for many yards. Bo Nix didn't pass for very many yards. that brings the average down.
You don't
and
think
then
it was
the top end just isn't there either of quarterbacks. You don't have Peyton and Tom, Phillip Rivers, Roethlisberger. You don't have this like super high level of quarterback play like you did 10, 15 years ago.
You wouldn't just simply blame it on Bryce Young being that bad?
Maybe. But,
He's so
Jamarcus Russell was around too. So
That's
you've
true.
always had like number one picks. You had Johnny Manziel, who was a starting quarterback in this league. Like, you've got those guys. I don't think that really is it.
What about this angle? I've noticed this week, especially being a big fan of fantasy football, that coaches are just running down the clock. Their game script is like, let's just get a first down and keep pounding it and just draw this entire quarter out to where that the possessions are not as many. I bet there's a lot less possessions too for the teams as well.
Yeah,
So
very
that
well could be. I mean,
could be
that's
the
one
case.
of the ways that you stop a high octane offense is limit the number of possessions that they get. So
That's true.
that could definitely be one of them.
And also look at the scores. There weren't that many high scores. There was maybe like 4 teams that got over 30, maybe 5.
Yeah, no, the average points are definitely
4.
down. Yeah.
Damn. Okay. All right. I got one last question for you guys, and Pascal's gonna enjoy this one.
Oh, no.
So is Colin, because he's got some heavy weight in this. Are the Bengals really that bad?
Oh, yeah.
Ooh, are they? I mean, their run game's new. Joe Burrow is not looking like he's bouncing back just yet. T. Higgins is hurt. Jamar Chase is unhappy and sick and whatever else the case may be. I know Pascal's going to tell me about the Patriots defensive back that crushed him, which is cool. But I think that their whole team is an entire effort, minus the defense, because they did their thing. Maybe not against the run game, but they did their thing against the Patriots, who don't have a huge, high-powered passing game. But the Bengals failed. They probably played a worse game than the Giants. I hate to say that, but
Oh, definitely.
it looks like they might be not coming back from this one, man.
Well, here's the thing. The thing about the Bengals is that since their head coach came to this team, they are 1-5 in week 1. And they're not much better in the first 2 weeks of the season.
Do they still think the preseason is 4 weeks, 4 games instead of 3 or some shit?
Well, actually, a lot of teams, even Bill Belichick would say that the first 4 games are an extension of the preseason. You don't really know what you have in your team yet. You're still trying to figure things out. And, the Eagles are a proponent of not playing any of their starters in the preseason. And that propelled them to, I think, 13 straight wins 2 or 3 seasons ago. So, there are some coaches that believe it, some that are successful, some that are not. And the Bengals, when they went to the Super Bowl, they started out the season 0-2. So this isn't something that historically has stopped them. They have bigger issues with like injuries. Joe Burrow is hurt every year. T. Higgins is always hurt.
Maybe the bleach went to his brain.
Maybe. But like Jamar said, if you're playing in the game, there's no excuses. Like, no excuses about being tired. No excuses about not being up to game speed. If you're playing, everything is expected of you. And I'll be perfectly honest with you. I expected the Patriots to lose. And so the Bengals losing this game, it's a bummer for them. But I don't think it really says anything about what they're going to do the rest of the season.
Yeah, we'll see what they do next week. And, when you lose, my wife told me this week when I was pissed off on Monday morning, she said, "Suck it up, Buttercup." And I said, all right, fine. And I went and bought myself a Reese's, and it worked a little. I was a little happy momentarily.
And now everyone sees why Julia is the favorite out of the group.
Yeah, well, I'm not that likable, so she's great. Anyways, so I sucked it up. I got myself a Reese's. I melted it down and used a straw, and it was not as good as if you put it in the fridge. So with that being said, let's move along. 3 and Out. Welcome, everyone, to 3 and Out, where we talk about who we're out on. We're going to start this segment with talking about a handful of players that we avoided early rounds of the draft. Pascal, you could start it off. Pascal's going to pretty much cover every position, and I'll cover receivers because that's what I came up with and what he came up with.
Listen, I'm a man of the people, you know. I try to spread it around.
Spread it out.
But so for me, when I was looking at the players in the draft this year, I had a few things that were no-goes for me at the top of the draft. And the number one thing was running backs on their second contract who are changing teams. Historically, it's just a bad look. Those running backs tend to have a drop-off, and they tend to not produce as well as they did in their first spot. Now, that is changing a little bit these days, but it was still too risky for me. And so I stayed away from guys like DeAndre Swift.
I had to slow it down because that name. Sorry.
Brendan is salty.
Really salty.
It kept me away from guys like DeAndre Swift. And
Joe Mixon! Yay!
So yeah, I stayed away from guys like DeAndre Swift and Joe Mixon, which also meant I stayed away from guys like Derrick Henry and Saquon Barkley. If you listen to those four names, it was about 50-50 hit rate. Mm-hmm. To me, that's too risky for the first round. I miss out on 33 points from Saquon, but, I'm all right not taking that risk in the first round.
5 points with DeAndre Swift.
Exactly. Or what was it, like 5 points for Derrick Henry? No, he got a 10. Touchdown, so he got like 10 or something, but still like...
Really underutilized.
It's just too risky for me. So then the next set of players that I stay away from are top tier tight ends. I already talked about that earlier in the draft strategies, but yeah, they just don't score enough on average.
Bro,
and the drop off from the best tight end to the 10th best tight end is just not far enough to make it worth it to spend a second or third round pick. I was looking at Trey McBride, right? He went in the second round. Damn. Like that's just bad. That's bad value for me. So I wanted to stay away from that. They
underperformed this week.
Even though there were so many tight ends that were kept, and so it made the pool of tight ends that much worse to pick from. Yeah. But I just couldn't do it. So I waited till what I thought was the last
and who'd you
tier
get? Pitts,
one.
Right?
Yeah,
that's a great pick.
I took Kyle Pitts.
I'd consider him top 6, top 8.
Yeah.
It's not saying too much when you're getting low, but Pitts should have a pretty good year. He had a decent week 1, right?
Yeah, he got 11 points for me.
Tight end 4 or something.
Oh yeah, I didn't look where he fell on
4
things.
4 or 5.
But
you don't have to look it up.
Listen, 11 points for a tight end. That's right in the middle of the pack.
That's what you want from your tight end,
right? And I'm trying real quick to see where I drafted him because I don't even remember, but I feel like it was like the 6th round or something. No, I didn't have a 6th rounder. So
which is still kind of early. It's still kind of early. Anything before the 8th round, if you're punting tight ends, that's early. You know what I mean? But with the keeper league, we do remove 24 players from the pool. So yeah, I mean that equates to about the 8th round, 7th, 8th round.
Yeah. So the top end tight ends to me was just a no-go. So I drafted Kyle Pitts 51st overall. So was that 5th round?
Beginning of the 5th round. That's kind of high.
Yeah, I mean, it was because everyone had been taken. He was the last, like I said, last guy on my...
So you were looking at your strategy and you're like, shit, everybody's gone.
Yeah, he was the last guy on my tier. He was the last guy on that first tier of...
so you weren't looking at like Njoku? Because I know Njoku and Brock Bowers.
Just because...
Colin got Brock Bowers in, I think, the 10th or 9th? Very late.
Yeah, Brock Bowers, he was the 9th.
It's pretty awesome.
Rookie tight ends do really badly,
but he got fed.
No, but it's just the risk. It's the risk reward.
Understandable.
Right? Kyle Pitts, I thought there was a chance to do well with a good quarterback for once.
He got Brock Bowers after Mark Andrews, which was my keeper, so I don't feel as bad.
So the last set of players that I was against drafting high were players coming off of injury or who were often injured. It's just, again, it's all about risk and reward.
Like
I want
A-Chain?
people... Well, 10th rounder. That's my 10th rounder. If I had to take him in the 2nd, there's no way I would have drafted him. No, there is no way. But as a 10th rounder, you don't get much better value than that.
No, you're right.
But like Joe Burrow, Mike Williams, I had no interest in those guys.
Yeah.
And then like on a lighter level, like guys like Devontae Adams, who you don't really have an offense.
DeAndre Hopkins.
DeAndre Hopkins is way past his prime, but like... Devontae Adams could have been...
And he's on the Titans.
Yeah, right. So
Come on, Will Levis.
I just had no interest in those guys, so I stayed away.
All right, my players that I avoided in the draft, early rounds of the draft, I really combed through, and because there was such a lack of running backs after keeping, I think, 9 running backs from our league, you couldn't really avoid too many of these guys. I think Achan would probably be the one that I was avoiding in other drafts, like early.
Mostert will go into that, right? Because he's always injured too.
Yeah, and the whole committee thing, I still don't believe in that. But I actually stayed away from some top tier receivers. Justin Jefferson. I mean, Sam Darnold proved me wrong, but Jefferson still didn't have like an electric performance. I mean, he did all right, and he did better than I expected him to, so he was off my board. I had the 6th pick. I looked at him in the face, and I said, no, thank you. And I took Amon-Ra.
Yeah, we'll see how that ends up going for you.
We'll see.
There is something to be said, and this goes against what I just said. There is something to be said about top tier wide receivers are quarterback proof. We'll see.
It's true. Justin Jefferson is quarterback proof, but when your team sucks and you don't have a quarterback,
we'll see. We'll see. We'll find
see.
out at the end of the year.
And then I stayed away from Devontae Adams, who we mentioned. That was just a clear go. Like, I think he got drafted in the 3rd or 4th round, which was pretty good value for where he was actually going as ADP. Of course, I stayed away from Hopkins. And then the final piece that I stayed away from, I also avoided him last year, and it didn't turn out to be that good for me, Christian Kirk. I believe that the rookie, Brian Thomas Jr., is going to be the top dog in that offense, and if it's not him, it's not going to be Kirk. As we saw in week 1, that one proved to play along with
your
expectation in the season. So now, if we want to move forward to the
so
other...
at this point, like, I know it's week 1, but who would you be trying to get rid of?
Oh, like trying to like trade or just drop, or most likely trade, because you're not going to drop high-powered guys that have a name, you know?
Right.
Well, I would say I came up with a few options for who are good trade away targets, but these actually might be good trade for targets as well. Amon-Ra St. Brown and Chris Olave. They both underperformed horribly. I think Olave had 1 catch and Amon-Ra had 3 for like a few yards. And then Mark Andrews, Dalton Kincaid, and...
I don't know if people can sense a trend here, but Brendan tends to focus everything on his team.
It's not... No, it's not. It's not my team. It is my team. No, it's true. It's just, look, I scored the least amount of points this week, so obviously I have some trade away, or even better, trade for targets. Another one is Marvin Harrison, the rookie receiver who looked to be, he's the highest ranked drafted, projected receiver of all time when it comes to fantasy. He was the highest drafted fantasy player that's a rookie ever, by far.
Okay.
First round, end of the second.
I wouldn't know.
Beginning of the second.
I imagine Calvin Johnson was drafted pretty high, but
no, not higher than beginning of the second. Maybe, I don't know exactly where he was drafted, so I'm not going to guess. But Marvin Harrison, 1 catch, 3 targets, 3 yards. Come on, dude.
Yeah.
Like,
Billy,
where are you,
Billy? And now it was Kyler's fault because Marv was wide open.
I know.
He could have like somersaulted into the end zone.
I know. I was watching closely. I have the stack of Kyler and Marvin Harrison in Jay's league, or the family league, and I felt it. I felt it this week, but I feel like it will turn around for me.
All right. So for me, after week 1, I probably would not want to trade away anyone on my team.
Smart.
Just because the whole point in drafting them is because I think that they'll be able to do something. So, but that's also because I drafted a well-rounded team, right? So I've got enough tight ends, wide receivers, quarterbacks even. But if I had a team that was a little bit deficient somewhere, if I had too many tight ends, not enough running backs, something like that, then I might be looking to trade for one of those guys in a position I'm lacking in. And if I'm doing that, then I'm trying to trade away someone like Rashid Shaheed, who just went off, right?
Of course,
But
somebody who performed
it's
great.
not likely to keep performing like that the rest of the season. I'm trying to trade him away when his draft value is at the top. Or I'm trying to trade away someone like Derrick Henry, who underperformed but still has cachet. If I don't think that he's going to get too much better, I'm trying to trade him away to someone who does and hope that they're paying top price for him.
Dude, Babalu drafted him in the first round. He's not going to get first round back for that, so it's better that he just keeps him in that case.
No, but you could possibly trade like Derrick Henry for
Rashad White?
No, definitely not. But you could trade
Trying
Derrick
to set up
Henry
a trade here.
for like an Amon-Ra St. Brown, someone else, another top tier player
No way.
who did shut up. Another top
On
tier
one
player.
week?
Will you listen? Another top tier player who did badly in their first week. So I'm not saying that anyone is going to trade Amon-Ra for Derrick Henry, dummy. Obviously,
Maybe
I'm
after
saying
4
that
weeks.
type of a player.
Four-
You trade a top tier player who did badly for another top tier player who did badly, and hope that your guy does better.
I like what you said to begin, that you wouldn't trade anyone after week 1. If it was like week 5 and this was the case, then yes, I would stop defending Amon-Ra. Come on, Amon-Ra. Let's get some touchdowns. At least some targets. Come on, bro. So that was 3 and Out. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Our next segment is called
Freshman football.
This is where we're going to go over the freshmen, the rookies. And today we will have a highlight on Marvin Harrison. But first we wanted to fill you in on how the rookie class did this week. So Pascal, take it away.
Yeah, so we went through our top 10, really our top 13 last week. And so this is the breakdown for how they actually scored for everyone. So Marvin Harrison, 1.4 points. Yuck.
Ugh,
Malik Neighbors, 11.6 points.
let's go. Let's
Not
go,
bad.
Malik.
Xavier Worthy, 20.8 points. I'll take that any day of the week.
Yeah, that's 2
But
touchdowns.
2 touchdowns, yeah, we'll see
Not
how.
not much utilization, but I mean he's a rookie. That was
Yeah.
great.
But he was a starting wide receiver, so I'll
That's
take
true.
it. Keon Coleman, 9.1.
Eh,
Rome Odunze, 2.1, and an MCL sprain.
That sucks.
No bueno.
I was targeting him, so I'm glad he didn't fall to me.
Lad McConkey, 14.9 with a touchdown.
Now we're talking.
Jaden Daniels, 28.16, but it was all on the ground. Not good.
Just wait till he starts utilizing Terry McLaurin.
Just wait till he gets hit by some linebackers.
I think McLaurin's gonna make him happy.
Trey Benson, 2.8 points on my bench. Blake Corum, 0.00 points on my bench.
Damn.
Brian Thomas Jr., 14.7 points, including a touchdown.
On my flex, let's go, Brian Thomas. All right.
Caleb Williams with 7.22 points.
Terrible.
Brock Bowers with 11.8 points.
Damn
Not
good.
bad.
Damn good.
And Ricky Pearsall is on IR.
How many points?
0 points on IR, my
Oh,
friend.
damn.
Let's learn the game of football. So I don't know who had the top 3 scores for the rookies because I was trying to look it up, and it's really hard,
hard to
to
figure it
it's
out.
hard to find out the rookie scores.
It's pretty easy. You just look at this list and pick the top 3, and then I guarantee there's
Yeah.
nobody that outperformed that.
Yeah, well,
Not guarantee,
yeah, no,
but
you're
most
you're
likely.
pretty right for this week, but it's going to change as
Of course.
Well, like Jalen McMillan got a touchdown, and Bucky Irving, but like I don't think either one of them scored more than these guys.
Yeah.
But so from this list, the top 3 scorers were Jaden Daniels, Xavier Worthy, and Lad McConkey, with Brian Thomas Jr. coming 0.2 points behind. Nail biter like Frank and Aggie.
Damn, yo. I'd prefer Brian Thomas.
So now we're going to talk about Marvin Harrison.
Maserati Marv.
He is widely regarded as the top Wookie.
Wookie. Oh, he's a festival head?
As the top rookie wide receiver prospect in a long time. Is expected to make an immediate impact as a high-end wide receiver too, with the potential to reach wide receiver 1 status in the near future. Not if this first week is an indication.
I don't think it will be.
But this is not the same Marvin Harrison who shot his tenant. That's his dad.
Yikes. Are you talking about the Hall of Famer, Mark?
Yeah, that guy.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, cool. Mike Longfellow, shout out Colts. So this Philly native went to high school at St. Joe's Prep. He clocks in at 6'3". Some may say 6'4". Probably in the morning he's 6'4", and at night he's 6'3". You shrink throughout the day. 205 pounds. Now, he spent 3 years at Ohio State, and in his rookie season, he didn't even see the field much, probably because he was behind the receivers Chris Olave, Garrett Wilson, and Jackson Smith and Jigba. I mean, what a roster.
Those guys were pretty good in college.
Yeah, I think they were good in college, and I think they're pretty good in the NFL. JSN, maybe. We'll see. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, we'll see.
But then in his sophomore and junior year, he outperformed everyone, had great accolades, got all kinds of awards. He was the 2-time unanimous All-American for the Buckeyes. He got the Fred Biletnikoff Award in 2023, which is...
That's the best wide receiver in the country,
top
folks.
receiver in the country. That's about 300 schools, probably 6 average receivers on a roster. That's freaking awesome, and that's over 1,000 people. And then he also was the Big Ten MVP in 2023, Offensive Player of the Year. The list goes on. He had over 1,200 yards and 14 touchdowns in both of his sophomore and junior seasons. No need to play your senior year. Go to the NFL, catch one pass for 4 yards, and then start your career. Just
Yes.
like...
Thankfully, it came against me
Yeah.
and Punxston Drublik. Thank you, Billy.
I doubt that will happen again. I think that'll be his
probably
worst NFL performance, barring injury,
Probably.
of his career.
He's the smoothest 6'3", 200-something pound receiver that I've ever seen.
Yeah, and he's only 22 years old, and he's not a running back, so the shelf life, we're looking at like a good 10-plus years. All right, so Marvin Harrison, let's see what you could do next week. I'm hoping big things. We'll go ahead to our next segment, which the stocks are rising, the stocks are falling. Welcome to Market Watch.
Okay, so for my stock rising, I've got someone that I might regret not keeping, Rashee Rice.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Rising stock for Rashee.
Well, it looks like he's not getting suspended this year, which we kind of expected before the season started. But it also looks like he might be Slant Boy 2.0. If he gets 120 catches this year, I'm going to be salty.
Yeah.
I mean, he's Mahomes' main guy, and they've still got Xavier Worthy and Kelsey as threats, plus Pacheco running the ball.
And
So
Hollywood Brown's coming back soon.
and Hollywood Brown is
Just
coming
wait for
back.
that. That might dull his stock
But
out.
Hollywood Brown sucks, so I really don't expect anything from him.
If he's healthy, we'll see.
No, he drops the ball. He is trash. For my stock falling, I got Derrick Henry. I mean, I just don't see where he fits in the pistol. He needs a head of steam. Will Lamar leash his touchdowns and vice versa? Like, they're not going to be good for each other from a fantasy perspective. I mean, they might. We'll see if they can get this offense running. But also, like, is he a receiving threat? Justice Hill definitely outplayed him. And are they going to have to change up the offense? If they do, is the offense going to take a step back? I don't know, Baba. Good luck. But Derrick Henry, so far, that stock has fallen, buddy.
Yikes. Continuing with the falling stock, I've got Joe Burrow, quarterback for the Bengals. We discussed him earlier. He disgusts me. No, I'm just kidding. He's good. But I don't think he's going to be that good for what expectations were on the season. Joe Burrow fell over 10 points under his projected score this week, under 10 fantasy points. That's terrible. I mean, he's going to get some weapons back, and we'll see if he could turn it around. But right now, it's looking like it's a downhill battle for him. I chose a second stock falling player in Chris Olave. I mean, to be the number one on a team and only get one catch is just so terrible.
Yeah,
It's
Rashid
so
Shaheed
bad.
might be the number one.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, it might even be freaking Taysom Hill or somebody eccentrically random. And then my stock rising will go to the man who lost his game but outperformed almost every fantasy quarterback in Jaden Daniels. He's got the legs and apparently he's got the arm. The reason why he's my stock rising is because we didn't really get to see his arm, and if it's said what it's to be, I mean, he could really, really raise his value.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Jaden ran all over the field on Sunday, but that's why my question is he just going to be Justin Fields 2.0?
It's a good question,
Like,
but he has a rocket,
maybe he'll put up, so does Justin Fields. Maybe he'll put up numbers running for fantasy, but also he's a small guy and he doesn't know how to slide. And gives like, seriously, like, did you see him do that barrel roll instead of sliding? Like, it's not good, because if he does that, they can still hit him. They can still hit him in the back.
He gets all the yards until one of his limbs touches.
But
if you start to slide like an actual slide, you're down.
Is he going to get hurt? He needs to protect himself, and we'll see what happens with his arm.
Yeah, I think it's good things looking. The future looks good. I'll give another stock rising player, Isaiah Likely. Do I have to beat it with a bat till it's dead? Likely just crushed it and could have done better. I've said it many times. We'll see him on the field this year, and we'll see him in our league.
Yeah, we'll also see if he can keep it up all year. That's going to be a big question mark for our buddy Brendan here.
Well, hopefully that question gets answered with a smile on my face. All right, so the market is closed, and we'll go over to our next segment.
Game plan.
The game plan. This week's fantasy education game plan, we'll be discussing the waiver wire.
So it's particularly important this year because it's a keeper league, and so we wanted to talk about this one before everyone put their waiver picks in. Now, it's important to keep in mind that the guys that you drafted have value in the slot they were drafted in. And so if there's someone that you're trying to get rid of, it's worth it to put them on the trading block and see if someone else wants to take advantage of that person's draft slot and hold them on their bench for the rest of the year, as opposed to just dropping them and exposing them to waivers. This year, holding guys on your bench is just going to have more value for that exact reason. And so the leagues become a lot more fun when we trade anyway. So make sure that if you're thinking about dropping someone, that you put their name into the chat and let everyone know that you're thinking about letting go of them, to see if someone will give you a trade first. There is some hidden value that you might not be thinking of.
There's a problem with our league, though, with the amount of people that are just like head over heels in love with their entire roster. And that kind of limits the ability to trade, especially if you don't understand it. There's certainly a lot of, availability on the waiver wire, but trading might get you more value, especially after this week one where it's not really looking very good. Another strategy on the waiver wire would be to do nothing. If you have a low, if you had a low week, or if you're the last place team and you have first waiver priority, which I do, the number one waiver priority, we shall see, because if I don't make any moves, I'll keep my priority, and anyone you drop will go ahead and be on my team come Friday. So that's a good strategy to have, but there might be somebody I have my eyes on. There definitely is some value out there, especially when it comes to keepers. So I would say, don't force yourself to make a move, but don't forget. So what I'll do, we actually skipped over a segment. We're going to go ahead and run it back real quick.
Sly as a fox.
Now, we skipped this segment because Pascal hates the song.
We skipped this segment because we forgot about it, I wanted to just keep it skipped. But
All right, let's run it.
We're here now.
Sly as a Fox would be a move that someone made that was very sly. My Sly as a Fox picks for the week would go to Mike Longfellow in picking up Jordan Mason.
I just want to put this out here that his original Sly as a Fox pick was himself picking up Isaiah Likely, who he didn't even start.
Yes, but it was sly because I drafted him.
Yeah, not sly at all because he didn't start him.
It would have been really foxy if I did start him.
So, Mike Longfellow, yes, very sly, picking up Jordan Mason.
135 yards, touchdown, 22 fantasy
Make sure you
points.
had the win. Like, you needed that.
He won
good
many
pickup.
people's fantasy leagues if
Good
you got
pickup.
him in place of Christian McCaffrey, who got called out like an hour or two before the game, and then
Even though they knew on Friday.
exactly, Jordan Mason stated himself that he found out Friday that he
I have
started.
a feeling they're going to get in trouble
Somebody's
for that
going to get
because
fined for sure.
Yeah, because they put on the injury report that McCaffrey was questionable or doubtful when they
No,
should've-
not doubtful.
Just one or
questionable.
two, but they should have put him as out.
As a matter of fact, the Sunday morning news note said that McCaffrey is questionable but is expected to play, which is total bullshit. That means somebody said, yeah, he's going to play. Most
yeah,
likely.
that's bad.
You get fined
for
for
a
that.
league that has partnered with gambling and fantasy the way they have. That's a bad look.
Yeah, it's a really bad look.
All right,
Find
so
the fool.
my sly move. Let's see, where are we? My sly move was picking up Saquon Barkley by I Fucks Your Mom. I thought there was a lot of risk. It was right for the ADP. ADP was about 9 overall, but there was a chance that Saquon was going to be a bust with the Eagles. But first week, so far so good. So I think that was a sly move. And in that vein, I'm giving an honorable mention to great. Because you drafted Joe Mixon, who had similar question marks, and he balled out week 1. So, sly move, guys.
Yeah,
Well done.
guys. Thank you, guys. Y'all are.
Sly as a fox.
And Longfellow and myself. Thank you. Moving on. We are going to take a trip to another realm.
Parallel universe.
Yes, the Parallel Universe. Welcome, guys, to the Parallel Universe, where we talk about another fantasy league. We'll keep it short and simple because this podcast was only supposed to be about 45 minutes, and we're at an hour and a half now. So without further ado, we're going to jump into Jay's League, the Lion Den, and just talk about a really interesting rule in Jay's League, which is punters and kick returns get points. So 10 yards is 1 point. So in drafting that league, I researched everyone's depth chart to see who was their punt return and who was their kick returner. A lot of teams have the same person and other teams have 2 different guys. And then I looked at the value, receivers, running backs, even defensive players. I have Keyshawn Nixon of the Packers as a defensive back who was buried in the roster but started last year as a cornerback. And this year he's playing as well. He was projected 0.9 points in the NFL platform, but he returns kicks. He only returned 1 kickoff because everything else went out the back of the end zone. He ended up scoring 11.9 fantasy points.
Wow.
So that also, in that league, that's a Sly as a Fox move. Other players I got, Josh Downs, Ty J. Spears, and this morning I picked up the Browns kick returner, Jalen Darden, who had 0 receiving. He wasn't on the field on offense at all, but he had like 9 returns, punts and kicks alike, and scored like 18 points. So
yeah, that's a nifty rule, scoring rule. Like you
Yeah.
have to know what the scoring rules are because you're leaving points on the table otherwise.
and nobody else drafted. I mean, there was one other running back, Kyron Williams, but he actually isn't even the return guy. It's Blake Corum, so they switched that on us last second. But that value gave a lot of points towards future kick returns, and I'm sure all those guys will get sopped up. There's a few still on the waiver wire in that league as receivers that don't even see the field, but scored 20 points. You know what I mean? So those guys will get scooped up. And Josh Downs was my other pick, who's injured, but when he comes back, he's going to be the WR3 on the Colts, seeing the field almost every play, and returning punts and kicks. So Billy, watch out. I know you beat me, but it's only because the Lions.
He's
failed.
coming for that ass,
coming
Bill.
for that. Well, I'm coming for that trophy and your money that you put into that league. But the ass you can keep. Keep that. Grace could keep that. So, anyways,
Nice.
real quick, the other thing I wanted to jump into, the the other league, the family league, we already had 2 trades completed. I'll run you through
for
them real
them.
fast. Yeah, it's good to see. You know, people aren't so in love with their players. Like, can we get some trade offers and put in there, guys? The trades that were processed. One was just a dead up receiver for receiver. Devontae Adams for George Pickens, which I think is really interesting. Pickens is on the up and up. Adams is on the down and down. We'll see how it
who
turns
wins
out.
that one.
And then the other one was even more interesting. It was a 1 for 3. Jacob, my nephew, the Worcester football team, got Kyle Pitts and gave up to the Fluffy Beagles, my sister-in-law. She got, for Kyle Pitts, she got Taysom Hill, TJ Hawkinson, and J.K. Dobbins.
Whoa.
Now, keep in mind,
Your
this
nephew's
trade,
got to be salty.
he's salty because he made this trade prior to week 1 results, and J.K. Dobbins is a gem in the dirt, which I'm going to have to use in our league, and we'll see how that turns out. I thought it was kind of bad in the beginning, but kind of questionable. J.K. Dobbins has kind of answered some questions, and Taysom Hill as well, and then T.J. Hawkinson is expected back in week 7 after their bye week, after looking into it to see the real value of this trade. So pretty cool stuff. Good luck to everyone in that league and in Jay's league, the Lions Den, and the Family League. And
All right. So now I'm going to be talking about a league that I find to be pretty cool, but it's probably the weirdest league you've ever heard of.
oh, this league. Yes.
It is a punter-only league.
That's crazy.
So that means you are only drafting punters, no one else. The way it works is that you have 8 teams, you have 4 punters per team, and 3 starters per week. Okay? So the way that you score is that each punt that lands in or that's downed inside the 20 is worth 1 point. Each punt that is fair caught is worth 1 point. A touchback is negative 2 points.
Ooh.
If your punter kicks a field goal and makes it, that's 3 points. A blocked punt is negative 15 points.
Damn.
And a completed pass is 15 points. So if your punt gets blocked, there's a good chance you're losing that game in real life. So you're going to lose the game in fantasy too.
What if your punt gets blocked, you recover it, and then throw it down the field for a completion?
Ooh,
Zeroed out?
0
Do you
points.
get the yards or no?
I don't know. It depends on how they score
interesting.
that. But if you do a fake punt and your kicker completes the pass, there's a good chance you're winning that game.
Yeah.
So those are game winning. I guess, like, scores. And then outside from that, you have to make sure that you don't draft 2 punters with the same bye week, because you have to start 3 guys and there's no one left on the waiver wire because you're drafting all the punters. But also, if your punter gets hurt, you got to drop him and pick up the backup, or put your punter on the IR slot, and pick up the backup. So someone else could mess you up by picking up the backup, but then they got to drop someone, and it's a whole.
This sounds like it'd be fun to be accompanied by a regular fantasy football league.
Yeah, so this is right. This is a league that most people would not do as their main league, but you start thinking about fantasy differently. You start thinking, all right, who has the best offenses? Who has the worst offenses? Who's going to be punting for this reason or that? And it'll be interesting just to follow it throughout the season.
Panthers punter probably goes number 1.
Yeah, I'm not sure who is at the top, but like Panthers, Patriots, yeah.
Giants.
Yeah, Giants.
Ugh.
Sure.
Well, at least both of our teams are in the doghouse this week. Actually, funny enough, let's take a stroll outside and let's visit
The doghouse.
Meow. Some people like cats.
Yeah, that was actually appropriate for this week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Doghouse.
So, Pascal, I'll let you kick it off, or you want me to kick it off?
I think you should kick it off.
All
I
right.
kicked it off last week.
Yeah, I don't know what yours is, but you're giving me that look, and I have a feeling that I'm going to be chewing on a bone by the end of the night.
I don't know, buddy.
But I will be joining, well, who knows? But my doghouse guy this week is going to go to Bob. Just kidding. It's going to Aggie because your name is still the stupidest thing on earth. It's so bad.
Oh, man.
It's so bad. Like, it's just, can you just please just get on your computer or phone and change it to something in Chinese. It would be better than your name right now. I think your name is probably the worst fantasy football name in history. And you didn't even spell everything right.
Damn, Brendan is going
like,
in.
And if you change
You
your
really
name,
hate this name,
If you
huh?
change your name to the properly spelled way, it would be better than what your name is now. But please don't do that, because everyone's mother should be respected to the highest ability of respect. And I just think there's so much opportunity to come up with a cool ass name, like
Aggie. I
like the
your name.
Boston Aggerolds.
That's a horrible name, Brendan.
Look.
That was no. Just stop. This is the worst episode you've ever done. I swear to God. Like,
Oh, you're gonna throw me in the doghouse now for this?
you know what?
Wait. Scott,
Yes.
you're
Fuck that.
You're still on
No.
the chain.
You
outside.
are going in the doghouse, Brendan. And it has nothing to do with your bad takes. It has nothing to do with you being wrong on all your facts.
What does that
It
have
has
to do with?
nothing to do with you hating names
Does it
that
have
are
to do with
ostensibly
my,
okay.
with my wet fart of the week
It
performance?
has to do with the fact that you left 70 points on your bench.
More than that.
What
70 by
is
3
wrong
players.
with you? You would have won the week if you were a better GM, but you suck. You go in the doghouse. You don't get to talk shit about anybody. You trash.
I'm sitting here with Aggie in the doghouse, and I'm still talking shit. Worst name ever. Worst week 1 performance ever.
Horrible.
Aggie, let's get a drink. Let's talk about
Horrible.
changes that need to be made. Anyways, guys, that should conclude the episode for this week. Thanks for tuning in. We really enjoyed listening or watching you guys listen to us. And thanks for all the shout outs from last week. We still need some comments and some likes and some follows and some subscribers. But this is a work in progress. And progress is what we will go after. And always remember, when selecting waivers, to
Put it in the air.
This is the Put It in the Air podcast.
Can I at least get a blanket for the doghouse?
No, you're outside in the rain, in the cold. Bad doggy.
See, I'll share it with Aggie.
No. Aggie already has his space set up. You don't even get to go over and go into his corner. You are in the doghouse for good, my friend.
Well, at least Aggie and I have a roof. Scott's out there in the real cold rain.
Yeesh, fuckers.
Yeah. And Sonia Fuckers will change that up. You know, all you have to do is type 7 letters in a space.
And we out.
And we out.
Peace.
We'll see you guys in a week.
Signing off.
Later.
Stop.